Welcome in, everybody. Another Tuesday night with the Boiler Express podcast crew here. We got four of us this time. We're kind of two, three, four, five. At some point, we'll get all five of us back in here. But we got Damon back in here, the Ultimate Boiler. We got Frank
Dog,
above me, the Stat Tank. We got Dylan, Mr.
big
Boiler behind the
brain,
wheels
little
over there.
brain.
As always, we're brought to you by our wonderful sponsors, Martin Vintage. Go check them out. Use the code BXP at checkout for 10% off your order. Follow them on socials. Check out all the new shirts. Damon's sporting one of their awesome shirts they sent us up there in the corner. I've worn it a lot. My wife even likes it, and my wife is very picky about the Purdue shirts because she thinks I have too many of them. So she even likes the Martin Vintage herself. So check out CBB Analytics as well. They got us set up with a premier membership over there. If you guys just want to check out Purdue stats, you can get that for free, or you can upgrade and check out Big Ten teams, all the teams. They have all the stats over there. They have all the percentiles. You can look up everything from points per game to assist percentage per possession and what percentile Purdue ranks in that. Look at how dominant Edie is and how he has 100th percentile all the way down. A lot of cool stuff over there. Go check it out. And also Cincy Blitzboards, of course, our longest sponsor. They have this cool yard game. You can see mine behind me here. There's one behind Dylan there as well. It's kind of Yahtzee mixed with cornhole, mixed with a bunch of other stuff, but you can make up your own rules. It's a lot of fun. Go check them out. They'll design anything for you, any sports teams, any personal things. They'll put photos on there, whatever. They work with you. They're great, and they ship them immaculately, like they're shipping a gold note from Fort Knox. It's going to come in pristine condition. So go check them out. But yeah, so guys, we had a good week. Only one game, but we took down the rival from the Southern Indiana State. Frank, how we doing?
Oh, I'm doing well. Doing really well. Every time we beat IU, it's always a good time. And I wanna take a moment to admit from our episode last week that I was incorrect. I was more in the 10 to 12 point win category, but I was wrong. So it's something I would definitely be happy to be wrong about. But yeah, kudos to these other two, Russ and Dylan, last week, who were pretty certain on winning by 20 to 30. You guys were right. I was wrong. So
we were closer to $1 billion than normal. So
yeah.
So what made you, after beating IU at IU as good as we did, what made you think it was going to be such a lot closer of a game at Purdue?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I felt like the game at Assembly Hall, Indiana didn't have Khalil Ware for the majority of the game. Indiana didn't have Malik Renew or Mackenzie Mbako. And in my opinion, I felt like the presence, I felt that was unlikely that was going to happen again and that we were going to see, the full IU offense.
Gotcha.
And then, honestly, the first 5 minutes of the game with Khalil Ware in the game, he really warped Purdue defensively and allowed just for some easy just cuts to the basket. Because you do have to respect his shooting. So I felt like there was a major difference defensively for Purdue when Khalil Ware was off the floor. But seemed like early in the game, Purdue wanted to go straight at him, and it seemed like early in the second half, Purdue wanted to go straight at Malik Renew because they went to TKR, 3 possessions in a row? So don't hate the player, hate the game. If they can't defend him and they have to foul, so be it.
Yeah, and welcome back, Damon. As I said earlier, we've had a few games since you've been here. So, what are your thoughts on how the season's been going and how the Boilers are looking on the hard court there?
Well, yeah. So, just life's kind of hit me in the face lately, but getting back into a routine and all that. So, glad to be back first and foremost. As far as the games go, I feel like I have to continue. So, I haven't been able to watch the games since the Nebraska loss, actually. So. Now I'm to the point where I feel like I have to continue to not watch the games so that we continue to win. So, gonna have to continue that but from the bits and pieces that I've gotten to see, it's just awesome. It feels like this is, knock on wood, typically the point. Oh, lost me here, bud. Typically the point in the year where you kind of see things tighten up. You see things maybe get a little concerning, or at least just not. The offense just isn't as free flowing and explosive, I feel like, as it typically is. And so I feel like Braden and Fletcher in particular just look really confident on the floor. They just look like they're out there having fun. Braden is definitely a floor general. He's out there calling the shots and putting things together. So it's been really good to just see snippets of like their growth as guards. And of course, Zachy is just continuing to be dominant. So you'd love to see that. And hope that just continues on. So yeah, glad to be back though.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Damon, if you didn't see it, Cody welcomed you back as well. He had a comment here from Cody.
Oh yeah,
Go
sorry, I'm
ahead,
on my
but,
phone, Cody. So I was like squinting, looking at
yeah.
my
You're like
phone here,
Russ,
but
can't see a damn thing.
Yeah, he said welcome
What
back.
do you say?
Well, I was going to go to you, Dylan, but we'll just go ahead and skip right over that. But
Wow.
yeah,
Well, I
thanks,
think,
Cody. Though. Appreciate it.
I think it's worth talking about something here that Damon brought up, and that the last 2 seasons, not this current season, but 1 season and 2 seasons ago, the month of February hasn't been kind to Purdue. Damon said it last season, or he said it last season about the previous season, and that the loss at Michigan kind of broke Purdue to a degree. Like, we didn't look the same from that point forward. Last season, we lost 4 of 6 in February to end the season. Then had a really strong, Big Ten tournament, as we all know. Do we feel like, and you can answer this individually, but do we feel like we're seeing that from this year's team? Because I feel like I don't. I feel like maybe we're playing our best basketball. That might be a bold take, but we're playing really good basketball right now. We're beating teams that we should beat in the way that we should beat them. I mean, Northwestern, I'm just going back to the last few games. Rutgers, you know what you're going to get defensively. They're now the number 2 defense in KenPom, understandably so. They're a really good defensive team. So anytime you play a team that's that good on defense, the games are going to get ugly. Northwestern, we were just the beneficiary of some really, really tough shots that they made. I don't feel like we did a ton wrong in that game. We were able to score 105 points. Wisconsin, it was just a grinder. We went down to the wire. They have lost 4 in a row now, which is a little concerning for them. But and then we saw Indiana. We took care of business, won by 20. I don't think we're seeing that this season. Any other takes?
Dylan, what do you think? How the Boilers looking?
Are looking pretty damn good. I mean, and we're not even going to talk about the fact that Zach Edey just shot a 3, and the entirety of Mackey, the roof came off of Mackey Arena.
Did they ever get like an official decibel reading on that moment? I never saw
Loud as
anything.
shit is what
I
it
haven't
was.
seen
That's
one
what
yet.
the reader said. Loud as shit is exactly. It couldn't even.
It just exploded.
But because whenever Fletcher Lawyer, because I even almost tweeted that night that I was like, I feel like the decibel record is going to get broken because it was a really important game. It's like 124.3 now, which is insane. I think that not only is the record at Mackey, but that might be like the overall record. Like, I don't know. I think that's louder than the Kansas.
I think it's top 3. I actually did look this up recently.
Don't the Seahawks have a pretty?
The Seahawks, the Seahawks is up there. So is
I'm talking about college basketball.
College basketball.
Not even the same sport or league. What are you doing over there, Dylan?
Kansas holds the record for loudest period, but there's something to call out there. They did this. They had a specific moment where they were like, okay, we're all just going to scream as loud as we can to break a record. So it wasn't like something that happened in the flow of the game. They were just like, all right, we're going to fill Fog Allen.
No wonder
we're all
Hunter
just going
to
yell as loud as we can.
And I believe that Rupp Arena answered that and did the same thing and beat them, I believe.
Oh, really?
But they did the same thing. They created one moment where everybody got loud as they could. So they weren't, like you said, they weren't natural moments. So I would say by that standard, Mackey holds the record.
So we have
a true.
We have a comment here with an official number. I was told it was 35,000 decibels approximately. Thank you, Nick.
Sounds about right. It was fun watching that replay back because you even heard the announcer kind of like lose their mind. They're like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah. Damon got a comment here from the OHIO crew saying, "Damon, I forgot how handsome you were." Have another comment.
I try.
Another comment here from Cody. I feel like we almost got the monkey off our back. And to be honest with you guys, I believe having that number 2 ranked in front of our name is the best thing right now. I know that number 1 would be nice, but I feel like being number 1 is a little bit of a curse.
Yeah, if we just say it too, I'm not mad about it.
While that's brought up, I actually want to bring up a point I was going to make tonight too, because I've said it in our group chat a couple times, but I don't think I've said it on here. I think Braden Smith being left off the Kuzi finalist list might be the best thing that's happened to Purdue this year. Because he has played possessed. He's played like he's got a chip on his shoulder, like he wants to prove to everybody he is not just a top 10 point guard, but the best point guard in the country. I don't know if you guys caught the coaches show this week, but it was actually Coach Johnson and Coach Thompson on there doing the coaches show this week. And PJ was talking about how Braden is basically he might go down as the best point guard in Purdue history. And I'll go ahead and throw out the other stat here, or one of the stats that I looked up as well. So do you guys know where he sits in assists right now, as far as the school records go?
I don't know.
Not a clue.
So he's not really on the radar per se. He's at 324 career assists. If he continues the 7.1 average, he'll finish this year with about 390 to 400 assists, which is just off the top 10. Who you guys know who's 10th on the list, by the way? Look at well, he's not got his hat on anymore, but think about the cowboy hats from last week.
I know who it is. I'll let Dylan figure it out.
The cowboy? We're like what?
Oh,
you said cowboy hat. You really put my brain in it.
Dakota Mathias. He has.
The cowboy. I get it. Okay.
So Dakota Mathias.
It took me a second to get there too.
So Dakota Mathias
so
is 10th. He's 10th in school history at 408. So kind of wrap your head around that part just right now, that 10th in school history is where Braden could be within striking distance of after 2 years. Right? Like Edey took 3 years and he got like 25th in scoring, and some of his, like, I think rebounding he may have gotten top 10, but like it took him 3 years to get some of those points. If Braden maintains 7.1 his junior and senior year, he is going to destroy the school record in assists. So do you guys know what the school record is right now in assists? Career-wise? So it's Bruce Parkinson from 73 to 77 at 690. If Braden maintains 7.1, he'll end with over 890. So he will shatter the school record. So
what did he average last year?
Last year it was like high fours, I think.
Wow.
So I took 7.1 because you would think, career projections at Purdue, especially the way we develop talent, he might go up a little bit. But then again, losing Edey, that is a decent chunk of his assists. So he'd have to find other places to get those, and maybe he scores the ball more next year in his senior year. But I think 7.1 is a good way to just kind of average out the rest of his career. And if he does that, he will shatter records. And we might be talking about having the best center and maybe the best point guard in school history at the same time.
Got a comment here. Please tell me your dog's name is Purdue Pete. Not sure who that's directed toward. That is from the Dylan podcast. I did have a chameleon who I named Purdue Pete. For a
that was
years.
Gordy. Gordy, I brought up on the. He didn't like. He's kind of camera shy.
You know what's funny though? As far as Braden, because I know that there's probably numbers that like clearly say that Braden is the better point guard, but I'm still like Carson Edwards. Maybe it's just because I saw Carson Edwards like NCAA tournament highlights today from 2019, but like I would still pick Carson Edwards over anybody else as my point guard in like Purdue history at any day of the week. I just love Carson Edwards so much.
Isn't it funny too how we're the big man right? We're always having the 7-footer. Painter doesn't recruit guards. He doesn't develop guards. But when you think about Braden Smith as the best point guard in Purdue history, you easily go, okay, well, Carson, okay, Lujak, okay, I know each one wasn't a point guard, but best guard,
right.
Like there's a lot of guards you come up with just in the last 10, 15 years. And that's not even going back to the Katie era.
I loved the post-game question to Zach about talking about Braden. And he was like, he's really athletic. He's just short. And Braden's like, well, I feel like I'm pretty average size. You're just 7'4".
Yeah, I mean, I think Damon, for one thing, I think you make a great point about Carson. I don't know how you define best. In terms of point guard. You could be a guy like Steph Curry, for example, who's going to look to get his own bucket, and I think you put Carson in that category. Yeah, it can be a guy who's more like Luka Doncic, which I compare Braden to a lot, where he's just like a master and he's got a basketball IQ that's through the roof. But I think like Painter talked about Braden and said that one of his high school coaches said he was a basketball savant. And that was one of the reasons why he really wanted to recruit him. Is he when he recruits players, he talks to their former coaches. And I think we're starting to see that, honestly. I think we're starting to see his decision making. I mean, the amount of times that he jumps out of bounds, that he's driving toward the baseline and he will jump. His body will be above, the out of bounds baseline, and he makes a pass that leads to an easy bucket. I mean, like, and those are the plays that he made last year where you would just kind of like put your face in your hand and just be like, come on, man. But now like he's making those plays. And like Carson was an elite scorer. I mean, he's probably the best guy Purdue's ever had outside of Jaden Ivey. I think if Jaden stayed one more year, he probably would have beaten that. But when you needed a bucket and you needed a guy to get one, he was going to be that guy. And
Right.
and I wouldn't put Braden in that category by any means, but he's a guy who can hit his open shots and can create for he raises the ceiling of guys around him for sure. So like they're kind of two different types of players. I really consider Carson more of a two. I mean, No Gel was the point guard of that team, but not really.
And not only Braden offensively, but like his defensive just awareness, I think is really good too. Especially, I think you sent a clip of it today in our group chat, and you were actually focused on like the microphone picking up like Braden communicating to one of his teammates. But what I noticed was Braden was actually guarding another player who was the point guard had the ball at the top of the key. He was following the player that he was defending. Then, like out of the corner of his eye, he's like intellectually just knows, oh, he's about to pass it to this guy on my right here, and immediately cuts back and just takes the ball like he could just see it from 1,000 miles away. So
yeah, that was so. That was. I think he was trailing Trey Galloway, and who was looked like he was coming off of a stagger or a pin down from Mackenzie Mbako, but they actually twirled it and it was the screener action. And so I think what he was saying was Fletch, but he was yelling out to Fletch to pre-switch the screen. And I mean, to me, that's what it sounded like. I heard it during the actual broadcast. He was yelling something over and over again. It sounded like Fletch, but he read the play and then jumped the passing lane, comes down in transition. I think he passes to Fletch, who drives in and kicks it back out to him for an open three. But like, this is going to be another bold take, but I feel like Braden is the leader of this team, at least on the floor. Maybe not in the locker room, maybe not off the court, but like I feel like this is Braden's team. I mean, Zach Edey is the best player on Braden's team, but I feel like he commands the floor, and it's really cool to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love seeing. I love seeing Paint's interactions with the players too. I think in particular, I remember the clip of I think it was the game at IU where they were planning out. Basically, it was going to be an alley-oop to Zach Edey, and he wanted. It was Wisconsin, and he wanted. I think Mason to oop it up to Edey, but the defender, I think it was the guy that's really good on Wisconsin. I can't remember what his name was. But was just all over him, and Fletch was like, "No, like let me do it. I can get over there." And I don't know, just the player coach relationship that you see these guys have with Painter and Painter have with them is just really cool. It seems like Painter, and again, I don't know, like I'm not in the huddles or anything, but just from what I've seen, and I don't know, Painter just doesn't seem like as rigid and as tight like in this month of February and coming into March, like. Seems like he's still open to like ideas and things. I don't know. I just really like where the team's at as a whole right now.
Yeah, I think that plays into Cody's comment here. He said, "Is it me or is this your team giving the amazing vibes that the 94 and 18 team gave the Boilermaker Nation?" And I think that's a good comparison, kind of both those teams. Like, I think that Purdue could very much be kind of America's team come March this year. I think that
coming from the Cowboys fan.
Yeah, right. I think they'll be very polarizing. I think you'll have, obviously Edey haters are getting louder, but I also think there'll be a large amount of support for Painter and for Purdue as one of those schools that hasn't broke through, and as Painter being one of those great coaches that hasn't broke through, because Painter doesn't have a lot of haters. Like there's a lot of coaches out there in the Big Ten right now that are getting teched up, that are getting thrown out, that are whining in a press conference, that are crying about officials, crying about whatever. But Painter's never been that guy. Painter's always been a well-liked, well-respected guy. So I think that combined with Purdue's kind of woes in March, that if they get a run going in March, I think you could see them being a very popular team and create a lot of buzz nationally, even more so than they have being the number one team the last 3 years.
Russ, I just can't help but feel like everyone's gonna be waiting for the Purdue loss.
Everybody's gonna be begging for it.
I want you to be right.
That's why I said if they get a run going, like if we get to the second weekend, I think you're gonna really feel a lot of buzz, because the second weekend would be up in Detroit, in Michigan, and you've got that city that just went through, what they went through with the NFL, and it's going to become Black and Gold Nation up there. And I think you're going to see a lot of support for that team.
March is going to be a stressful month.
Yeah.
gonna be
Yes,
so
it will be.
cool. I'm not ready.
Yeah.
Are we going
Remember,
to write Painter and be like, hey, just take a first round bow out of the conference tournament so we don't have to deal with that? We just-
ERs across Indiana are gonna
mine's
be
right.
packed.
Let's see.
remember, Purdue has made 4 of the last 6 Sweet 16s. So making
People
a Sweet
forget that.
16 is more of a rule right now than it is an exception.
Oh, absolutely.
I know people say yes, you got upset by 3 double-digit seeds 3 years in a row, but one of those is in the Sweet 16. So, and by a team that upset Kentucky, not trying to act like it's not a big deal or that we should overlook it, but they upset Kentucky on their way there too. So,
Yeah, and I mean, they're in the NCAA tournament for a reason, but I mean,
Yeah.
same premise though.
you guys remember the guy from St. Peter's, Doug Eddard, the guy with the mustache?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever happened to him?
He went to go. He played at Bryant University.
Is
after
that where it was?
Kind of a lateral move, which I thought he would have been like super popular and got landed somewhere, more known, I guess. But he played point at Bryant for a little bit.
Yeah, he's still there. Come to face, he's still at Bryant.
The powerhouse
playing,
of Bryant University.
Playing about 16 minutes a game right now. And
What's the record? They aren't going to make the tournament as like a 15 or 16 seed, are they?
Bryant. They are 16-9 right now.
If they win that conference tournament, though, that's all that matters.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Les, if you put that into the world,
But what?
Imagine they make it to the Final Four and they have to play for.
It's crazy to think about how many coaches that Painter has helped springboard their career. I mean, going back to Little Rock, who was the coach of that Little Rock team? Purdue
Chris
lost
Beard, man.
Beard.
Yep.
Chris Beard.
Give me
And
that
he was
flashback,
hired.
please.
Who was he hired? Right, he got hired by someone right after that. Texas Tech.
Yeah, was it Texas Tech?
And then
Yeah.
he went to Texas, and then
Is he in jail?
Yeah.
Is he still in the
No,
He's
yeah,
at Ole Miss now.
Yeah, he's not in jail. Yeah,
Oh,
he's
good
he's
for
at
him.
the coach at Ole Miss. Yeah.
Is he
Shaka
still in
Smart
jail?
still has quite a nice career after the VCU
still
game.
wearing
Hey,
orange?
shout out to Vinny
He's not
Sutherland,
burning
by the way,
orange?
for liking the podcast on
Yeah,
Twitter at the
Vinny.
live episode show.
Yeah, appreciate that, Vinny. Well, one thing,
Vinny, hold on. Vinny likes. I think he does that every week, and we've had Stu and all these guys on. And Vinny, you are welcome on the show whenever. Get your ass
And
on the
Vinny,
show.
by the way, make sure you get a hold of Stuart sometime. I remember that one time he was trying to get a hold of you. It was a whole thing on that
Yeah,
one
call
episode.
Stu.
Yeah,
From us to you, Vinny, call Stu.
but one thing, Damon was talking about the relationship between the players and Painter. We haven't talked about it in depth. Dylan mentioned it briefly, but on the Zach Edey 3, that like Zach called that play effectively, if I understood the press conference correctly.
Yeah,
That it was like they had him and he kind of had a side huddle with Braden and was like, "Hey, we're gonna do this," and Braden was like,
So listen to the coaches show because PJ actually had something drawn up as well.
okay."
So he said the last time out before he hit the 3, Zach kind of pulled PJ aside and was like, "Hey, I'm only going to be in for probably a couple more minutes. Can we draw something up for me?" And he also had something drawn up for Zach to pop out for a 3, but he did admit that wasn't the play he drew up. That was just transition action, and they got in the pick and pop on their own outside of the play that PJ had written up.
what I love too is Coach Painter talking about it in the press conference. He was like, he missed it so badly it went in. Like that was his take on it, which is great.
Yeah, I mean, and I will say it's nice to be on the good end of seeing seeing a big man hit the first 3 of their career, because I feel like 4 or 5 times a season, often in the postseason, you see another team's center do that. Again, going back to Little Rock, where they had 2 centers hit the first 3 of their career to force overtime. So that was really cool to see, because I mean, I think
bring that up, Frank.
Yeah, sorry,
Really bringing down the
my
mood.
brain's in. But everyone knows he can hit threes. If you're a Purdue fan, you've seen the videos in practice. You saw the video from the combine, and it's really neat just to see him hit one in a game. I mean,
Dude, he smiled the rest of the game. Like I had never seen him that like excited.
I think he's
and
still
that happy.
smiling. He's like still sitting there thinking.
Where
about
we
it.
all are.
And just think, like, if he... Sorry,
my favorite moment was I texted it in the group chat, was after he hit the 3, he kind of was like, I think somebody was shooting a free throw. I don't know if it was our team or the other team, but he was like looking around and just kind of smiling and looking around the stadium, and it was like you could tell he had this look on his face of like, man, this is really cool. Like, I'm glad I'm at Purdue. I'm glad I had that moment. Like that, this is awesome. Like I love life right now.
Yeah, and I love Lance Jones too, man. It's just seeing him, like, I love that it's become a thing now that he like does the dance with the whole crowd. Basically, now it's like the Lance dance, even though that was something Purdue's done for forever now.
Yeah, no,
Did I
that's
tell you
now
all I've seen
rebranded
other
as the Lance
schools do
dance.
that same dance?
What's
What'd you
that?
say?
Did I tell you all that I've seen other schools do that same dance?
Yeah, but they don't have
Exact
the
same.
Lance.
Yeah, they definitely don't have a Lance, but
We have the Lance. We
I think
had
I've
the
seen
missing piece.
two other student sections do that dance exactly the same way.
We were at
I'll
the
tell
Big
you
Ten
what.
championship, and Chuck, our guy Chuck, was trying to learn it, and a kid behind us was teaching him, and Chuck was like, just rehearsing during the Big Ten championship. He's like, "Oh yeah, I think I got it." And I was like, "Got a guy, Chuck. Got a guy."
I tell you what, though, I hope they treat those other schools. I hope our fan base treats them like they did me whenever I was like, oh, it'd be cool if we did Back in Black for the third quarter song, and everybody's like, don't you know Nebraska does that? Ah!
What was
was
the
like,
song
oh,
that
sorry.
Purdue Creative released before the IU game? They didn't
Paint It
release the
Black.
song, the video with the song.
Paint
Yeah,
it black.
Paint It.
Oh God, we need to do that at Ross Aid. Forget shout. Paint It Black is that.
So one last note on IU too. This is another fact I looked up for y'all. So of course we drummed them twice this year, right? We beat them down at their place by 21, beat them in Mackey by 20 on Saturday. So do you guys know the last time that a team swept the series by 40 or more points?
Was it 76?
33.
1776.
No, so either team. I'll give you that hint.
Either team. Okay, because at the end of the broadcast they said 1933. That was the last time Purdue had
Was the
won
year
by
Russ
20 or more
graduated.
in both games.
So it was actually IU in 2013. That kind of down year.
Oh, yeah, when AJ
Purdue.
went off for like 30 some points. But
Yeah,
we
it was
lost by
that
37.
AJ, yeah, the 97-60 game and then the 83-55 game. So they won the combined series by 65 points was the margin that year. The last time Purdue won it by more than 41 points, which they did this year, was actually in Dylan's favorite year, 1969.
Nice.
So I don't
Remember like
know
it
where
was
they got the
yesterday.
33 game from, because in 1969 Purdue won 96-65 that's what it is. Okay, so one game was a 1-point win in Bloomington. It was 96-95, but the other game in West Lafayette we won 120-76. That's the most
Dang.
points a team has scored in this rivalry is 120
Was that
points.
that was pre-3-pointer too, right?
Yes, 1969.
Jeez Louise.
So we drummed them. So the record in the series by either school is actually Purdue. They won the combined series by 70 points. Do you know what year that was? Dylan will like this one.
1924.
Further.
1938.
1902.
Oh shit! The year
You
you
went the wrong
graduated.
way. I don't know what you're doing, Dylan.
You remember those years?
1924. Further.
You were in your prime.
1938. So 1902. This is
Throwing
it was
numbers
really
out. Don't
crazy
come at
looking at
me.
some old scores, because you look at these scores and you go, is this the same sport in the same year? Because the first game in Bloomington, Purdue won 32-8.
What?
Okay, so they won by 24 points. That same season, the same sport, we won in West Lafayette 71-25.
Wow.
How does that make sense? In the
That's
same
wild.
year, the same sport, 32-8, 71-25.
Well, you were there. You should remember. You were playing back then.
They greased the ball in the second one.
They called me
You
Rusty
greased it,
Blue
you
Jeans because
shot
I
it right
played
in there.
ball in blue jeans.
That was when they shot like underhanded, right? Like a granny
Yes,
style.
granny
Yeah, I
shot.
showed them how to do that actually. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, Russ invented that. Duh.
Mhm. It was actually called rest style, and they
Played
took-
with an apple
didn't think I'd
basket
stick,
back
so.
then. We didn't even have a net.
Yeah. Those are some wild stats for us. I think
Shorts up to your. Never mind.
I think the stat they showed at the end of the game was that the last time Purdue had won by 20 or more in both games.
Yeah.
Yeah. Find a comment here from Nick. They kept score on an abacus. There we go.
We weren't
I
even that
love it.
fancy. We just used fingers and toes. The score
That's
was
all
low
you
enough.
needed when
Usually
you're
you
only
could figure
scoring
it
8
out.
points a game.
That was
Yeah,
what
exactly.
the Paint Crew did back then. They were just
That's where the 3 thing came from. Once they got the scoreboard, they're like, we need to keep counting something. So yeah.
One more thing I do want to say is it was good to see Miles Colvin get some significant minutes in that game. In the press conference, if anyone didn't hear, Painter said he put him in because we weren't hitting threes. So it was just like, hey, somebody go in here and hit a three. And it was Colvin. So shout out to him on that one. Big minutes in a big game. Question to you guys: Is it time yet? Should it be time for Indiana to start reconsidering their Mike Woodson hire?
They should
been a lot of talk.
No, they should sign him to a lifetime deal.
Tear down
No,
the
honestly
program.
though, just put yourself into the lens of the Indiana athletic department. Do you look at firing Mike Woodson at this point?
You can't. I don't think you can. Like they've made too many jumps on coaching hires. I think they have to give it the Daryl Hazel time frame. they have to let it. I mean, you're gonna have to see if they can burn it down and build it back up before you give him the boot, because only this short period of time that program, they have definitely floundered a lot since Bobby Knight, and it's just gone down and down and down, and they keep trying. But I think that they've got to allow a new culture to be built in there. And I don't know who they're going to get. You know, they keep putting these guys in there. They keep thinking they got the right hire, but I don't think there's a right hire out there right now. I think they need to figure out how to try to build a program out around Mike Woodson, let him get his guys in there and write it out. You can't just keep jumping ship every 2-3 years, because Louisville's headed down that same path, right? Like post Patino. So I think you got to stick it out right now.
Well, okay. And I'm not disagreeing with you, but it's pretty much not even a question at this point that Dusty May is leaving Florida Atlantic, and he will be a hot commodity. He has a history of being an assistant in Indiana. So do you cut your losses now and look to hire him instead? Plus, Chris Beard's probably going somewhere in this offseason. Possibility Jerome Tang does the same. There's going to be a lot of coaches out there, So do you roll the dice? Let's say. Now, there's no right answer. Just food for thought.
Yeah, I don't know, because I think it is Indiana, and I don't think necessarily even a coach, like the coach themselves, puts a bunch of I don't think it really matters too much who the coach is as far as like their ability to recruit 4- and 5-star athletes. But as far as like putting things together and making it work, yeah, I don't know. So, because I was gonna say no, like he's able to recruit well, but I think I think a fart in a plastic bag could recruit well for Indiana. So, yeah, I don't know. I agree with Russ. I think it's really soon, but you're also right in that there are a lot of hot names on the table there. But I also think that May guy kind of is just like like an exciting name. Like he's always, I don't know. I feel like that's maybe something that maybe just like I don't know if an emotional hire is the right word, but like, oh, this is so exciting. And like, look, he's had a couple of good seasons here. And again, I don't know enough, so I might be talking out of my ass right now, but yeah, that was just a really long answer to say I don't know. So
I wanna correct myself. He played for Indiana. He was a long-time assistant at Florida, and so that's kind of everyone thinks he's going to Florida. So would he want to go back to his alma mater? Effectively, is the main question. But yeah,
well, the
I
other
don't know.
thing you do too, if you're IU, you can really taint that job even further if you jump ship, regardless of who you hire, because they, like I said, they are not a blue blood anymore. They aren't. Who wants that job right now? Who, like, if jobs come open, right? Michigan State's probably coming open here soon, right? Izzo's, I would say he's around the corner from retiring. And there's programs out there that have had better recent success if they come open, like a Virginia or a Villanova, or a Florida. So I don't know how IU stacks up to those other jobs either, to a coach that's on the rise. Do they look at IU and go, hey, yeah, let me go there where they've had, not a lot of success over the last 2 decades plus? Or do I go to one of these schools that's been to the Final Four recently and I know that they can get it done?
Well, I think that they would. It's an attractive hire. If I'm a coach, I would want to go to Indiana because A, they have the NIL, and B, they have like the fan backing, and that they sell out almost every game. So, the recruiting is going to be easier because of the name and because of the NIL. It's just about, can you put together a product on the court, which, Mike Woodson's done a semi-decent job of, but there's a lot to be desired there still. There's a comment here. They need to get a guy to embrace the culture of IU basketball, similar to what Dan Campbell did for the Lions. Yeah, I agree. I think that's what they need.
That's right.
Hot take. I think Woodson's an awesome guy, and I think he's hilarious. I just don't think he's a great coach.
Yeah, he is funny.
He wasn't even good in the NBA. Like, he did a subpar job with the Knicks, I believe, right before he came to IU. So.
And we got a comment from Cody. I say yes because they are trying to make him another Bobby Knight, even though he's not. Yeah. Yeah. And in the press conference the other night, he reminded me of Daryl Hazel, and they were like asking him questions about specifics, and he was giving very general, unspecific answers. Like, we just have to keep trying, continue to get better, go back and look at film, evaluate what we're doing right, evaluate what we're doing wrong, and focus. I mean, it's just like the kind of stuff Daryl Hazel would say in press conferences, like nothing specific at all. Now we have Ryan Walters, who's like almost too specific, in my opinion, sometimes. So
if there's one moment I'll remember from Mike Woodson, it's that Louisville game this year when he talks about them switching to the zone, and he's like, they asked him about it, like, oh, that was a great move, switching to the zone, getting back in the game. How did you guys come up with that? How often do you practice that? He was just like, we've never really practiced at all. One of the guys just said, let's try the zone. So we tried the zone. It worked. Like, it's like, what? Like, you've got supposedly one of the top 10, 15 jobs in the country, and that's your coach? Like,
right.
Wow.
There are things you should think and things you should say. Sometimes they don't overlap. Here we have a comment. Hire Chris Jewell, and have him tank the program even further. I wholeheartedly support that.
See,
I will
Frank,
donate to the NIL coffer that helps make that happen.
Frank, I got a question for you. You're a big basketball brain. If IU knocked on your door and was like, here's a bunch of money, would you do it?
Like a bunch of money?
Yeah, for sure.
You son of a bitch.
I mean, I could still be a Purdue fan. I could still be a Purdue fan.
At least as long as you tank 2 games a year, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
As long as you lose that.
I mean, I secretly believe that IU hired Daryl Hazel. I mean, that's like that. That's the only way that makes sense at all. The fact that he, brought in a guy into his office, a local player from Lafayette, and said, "I think you're an NFL level talent. You're a really good player. Unfortunately, we're not going to offer you." And then he goes and starts 4 years at IU, finishes his career at Iowa. I won't name names, but you could Google it easily. Come on. Yeah.
I have no idea who you're talking about right now. So
yeah, as an O lineman. So 4-star kid, didn't offer him.
Wow.
So
well, to get back on track a little bit and not talk too much about IU, we got 7 games left this year, y'all. So the season is quickly coming to an end. We have 2 this week, although we had 1 last week, but we got 2 this week. We've got Minnesota at home on Thursday night, 8:30 p.m. tip. And then on Sunday, we are at Value City Arena to play the Ohio State Buckeyes, our friends over there, Eric's buddies, Eric's basketball team over there. So what do you guys think about the games this week?
I'm nervous about Thursday only because I'm going to that game, and I'm worried I'm going to ruin the streak. So if we lose, guys, I'm going to take full responsibility and just go ahead and say I'm sorry now. So
just pull a money ball, and like if it's not looking good in the first half, just like go to the restroom or something.
Okay.
Just reset.
Right. Yeah, I mean, on the subject of Minnesota, it is crazy to me that Dawson Garcia is still in college. Like, he is that guy now that kind of like Perry Ellis. I think everyone always credits Perry Ellis as the player from Kansas who felt like he was in college forever. That's Dawson Garcia, in my opinion. But yeah, I'm with you, Damon. I'm nervous. This isn't the Minnesota team we've seen in recent years. They're much better and much improved. They did just recently get a big win over Michigan State at home. And then they lose on the road to Iowa. They don't really have any bad losses. Their worst loss is Missouri, which really isn't a terrible loss. I mean, they've got a young freshman, Cam Christie, brother of Max Christie, who scares me. He's really, really good from 3. He's kind of a lights out shooter. He's over almost 42% from 3 this season, 11 points per game, and he's taken like 3.5 threes per game, so decent volume. Yeah, so here we got a comment from Cody. 50-50, scared but hopeful. I mean, it's a Big Ten team. It's a Big Ten team, and it's we gotta have respect for Big Ten teams, in my opinion.
And
But
to give them more respect, they're tied for 5th in the loss column in the Big Ten.
yeah,
They're 6-6. Ben Johnson looks like maybe one of the betting favorites for Coach of the Year in the Big Ten this year right now. So they are a decent team. I think that right now you're looking at 6 teams in the Big Ten in the tournament. Minnesota might be the best team with the best chance to play their way in these last month and a half, few weeks here. So Minnesota, they've got a lot to play for, and they're gonna, like everybody else, they're gonna come and give us their best shot, and they are much better than what people are giving them credit for.
Yeah, so we did play them twice last year. Said lice. We played them twice last year. Purdue won 89-70 at Mackey. The game at Minnesota went a lot differently. I think their score was in the 30s. I want to say it was 61-39.
Yeah, they could not get the ball in the hoop there.
Yeah,
that was one of our better performances defensively last season.
I hate playing at the barn, and I remember specifically, like every time we play at the barn, even though it's been years and years since that thing that we shall not name happened. I remember last year, I think it was last year, maybe the year before, but Edie like tripped over somebody and like fell down, and I was like, oh no, yeah, here we go, this is it. But yeah, no, I'm glad we're playing at home against Minnesota. So
I think it's a great time to address this comment here. I'd love to talk about this for a second. I have a question. This is a comment from Nick. I have a question. All bias out of the answer. Will Purdue get to a Final Four this year? And if they don't, is it considered a failure?
I would say it's a failure.
So part 2 of that question is where I think we might disagree. Someone here might disagree.
I think I'll agree with you because we've talked about this before.
Yeah. So I'll keep it
as
there.
as a Purdue fan, yes, I think it's a failure if we don't make the Final Four. But you say take the bias out of it, and if you take the bias out of it, to me, it's not a failure if we don't make the Final Four. Because with how hard it is to make a Final Four, how ridiculous it is. I mean, you look at years, how many of the past several years has a 1 seed or a 2 seed not even made the Final Four? So you're talking about the 8 best teams in the country, and not one of them made a Final Four in a year in the tournament. Like that just shows how random it is, how much chance there is involved in it. Now, as a Purdue fan, yeah, I'm gonna think it's a failure if we don't make the Final Four because we've done everything else under Painter, and you've seen everything else as a Purdue fan under Painter, other than a Final Four and or a Natty. So, as a Purdue fan, I think it's a failure. But as a objective college basketball fan, I don't think it's a failure season if you don't make a Final Four.
all I'm gonna say is that just talking about this right now, my hands are sweating. So, like, so stressful, man. I'm like excited about March, but I'm also not looking forward to March whatsoever. A lot of pressure on this team, and hopefully, and I mean, it seems like they've handled the pressure well all year. I don't think there's been a game this year that's been like because they couldn't handle the pressure. Like really, our worst loss was against Nebraska, and that was just Kaisi Tominaga and the whole team as a whole just shooting lights out. Better than they have like all year. Which is the Purdue curse. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just taking it one game at a time, man. I'm just going to enjoy it. And I know that's a very cop-out like answer, but I really am just going to just take it one game at a time, enjoy it, and see where the season goes, because there's so many moments up to this point now that, man, you just want to bask in it and just enjoy the moment. Like when Edie hit that 3, every game is a sold out, just raucous, just crazy crowd. Hell, David Jenkins Jr. only held the decibel record for less than a year before Fletcher Lawyer came in and stole it with an insane 3 in a game earlier. So there's just so many, and all the great games from like the early season tournaments and everything. There's just so many great moments to latch onto that, yeah, it's a cop-out answer, but I'm just taking it one game at a time.
Yeah, I think that's how you have to look at it, Damon. I don't think that's a cop-out answer at all. And Russ, to your point, I think that Purdue and the national lens is a little bit different, and that people expect us to fail now. So people expect Purdue to choke, right? Because Purdue chokes always. That's this narrative again we've made for the last 6 Sweet 16s. think we're one of two schools to be able to say that. But that's the narrative in the public eye. So, anything short of a Sweet 16 or maybe even an Elite Eight this season in the public eye is just going to perpetuate that narrative. Oh, it's just Purdue being Purdue again. It doesn't matter if we lose to a 4 seed or a 12 seed. It's just going to perpetuate that narrative. So I feel like, in the public eye, not getting to a Final Four, it's not considered a failure. But they're just going to say, "Oh, typical Purdue." Kind of like Russ, you're a Cowboys fan. People kind of expect it from the Cowboys too. Hey, it doesn't matter. They went 12-4. Come postseason, they're going to choke. They always do. And when they did, everyone said, "Hey, that's what they do every year." So I think that, to Damon's point, take it one game at a time. You have to celebrate the victories. You have to celebrate the joyous moments that you get from the season. But I think, unbiasedly, this is the most complete team and the best chance that Purdue has had to get to a Final Four probably in my lifetime. We did the year with Carson. We had a really good chance, but that was because Carson played out of his mind in a particular game, and that wasn't like the expectation for that team, in my opinion. I mean, we barely got out of the Sweet 16. But I think that this team is great offensively. They're great defensively. They have elite players at every position, and the field is stacked. Will be stacked this year. But I think that they've experienced the worst thing that can happen, and that being a number 1 seed and losing to a 16. And I think that they understand they have to come out and they have to bring it. And so I feel like that's ultimately gonna propel them. But as far as not getting to a Final Four, I don't see that as a failure. Unpopular opinion, I see the tournament as just a big charade. One that I would love to win, and I want to see Purdue win, but it doesn't determine the charade. Yeah, it doesn't determine who the best team is at all. The best team doesn't win the game. We've seen that a lot, but that's why you play it. So, also another comment here, Frank, that jersey is sick. Appreciate that. Wasn't sure how it would go over, but I am Miles Turner today, so just thought there might be some Pacers fans here. Another comment here. I feel like we start feeling the pressure when the calendar turns to the month of March.
Absolutely.
Yes and no.
I mean, every team though, right? Like that's not a Purdue specific thing.
I mean, I feel like outside of a few turnovers against the press, Purdue played pretty well in the Big Ten tournament last year. We all know what happened after that. Won't talk about it.
I will say, to go further in that question too, I think that it will be a failure in the public eye if we don't make at least the Sweet 16. Because you're looking at a team that's going to have back-to-back National Player of the Year.
Yep.
If you can't make at least the second weekend, one of those years, that's going to be, you want to talk about looking back and think what if and have regrets. Like that's going to haunt Purdue fans and haunt Painter probably as well.
There's a great comment here from Cody. They didn't give us a chance in 2018 and see how that went. Agreed. And I feel like a lot of people overlook that or forget that. They forget that the narrative around Purdue going into the tournament, what Purdue did not end the season well in 2018. Like they struggled down the stretch, and then Carson just flipped a switch in the tournament and went off. But that was supposed to be a down year. It was supposed to be a rebuilding year. That was the first year after Swanigan, right?
I thought 2018 was where they went on that crazy win streak, and then Haas broke his elbow in the tournament. I thought 2019 was when Carson went off.
Well,
yeah, that's right.
18-19 season.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
so that was the.
We're bringing up all the bad juju.
I guess Cody could be talking about either year, but I remember I'm talking about the year with Carson, the year after we lost the 4 seniors: Matthias, Haas, Edwards, Thompson.
Gotcha.
But like the narrative around Purdue was that like they're a fringe, Sweet 16 team at best, and it was Carson because Purdue had struggled. I mean, Russ and I were at the Indiana game where Carson played, and it was a rock fight. The final score was like 51-47 or something like that, where the Harms had the final tip in there.
40, so I mean, 46,
yeah. So there's a who knows, but I'm excited for it. Excited for the tournament, and just know that the pain you feel if Purdue loses is all because of all the joy we got to experience throughout the season. So it's just you're experiencing it all at once for sure.
And no matter what happens, don't go getting in the face of a parent of one of the players, knocking their head off.
Oh my god!
Don't be ridiculous.
Don't be a dunce.
I can't tell you I can't even. I'm kind of scared if Purdue makes the Final Four because I can't begin to fathom the feral reaction that will come out of my body if they just make the Final Four. I'm gonna light something on fire. I know that. I don't know if it's gonna be safe. I don't know if it's gonna be in a contained area.
Well, Damon's not coming to my house to watch the game.
I think
I'm gonna
Frank and
break.
I have felt about as close to feeling as what it feels like for Purdue to
Oh,
make
yeah.
a Final Four
Yeah.
as any of us, and we didn't make it.
So,
So
like-
I think I already know kind of how my body's going to react, but it might be tenfold after that Virginia
Dude.
experience.
I feel like I'll be able to go outside and pick my car up and like flip it over. That's
So being at the Purdue Virginia Elite Eight game,
Oh,
there were tears from fans around me. My whole section was chanting Final Four. I was hugging strangers, hugged like 10 strangers as Ryan Klein walked to the free
why do
throw.
we got to do this right now?
we're bringing
Russ-
up all the shit today.
Russ, if I recall correctly, you were looking up
Fuck's sake.
tickets. You were looking up tickets to get to the Final
He
Four.
can't even
before
look at the
game
screen
ended.
anymore.
Shame. No, I was too. I remember I was in my living room on my laptop.
I
And
was
they-
on my
that
phone
shot
with my
went down,
dad.
and I just slowly closed my laptop. I was like, oh,
Yeah,
I was
I
on
was
the
in the
phone with my dad,
stands.
being like, "Oh my god, we're gonna make it!
Yeah.
We're gonna make it!"
My dad was sitting next to me at the Virginia game, and we were on the phone at the game looking up flights, looking up how does the hotels work, how
Yeah.
pain.
yeah,
That's
guys,
brutal.
let's just bring up all the bad memories today for this show. Let's just talk about all the bad times.
Yeah.
So we got
absolutely.
Ohio State on Sunday as well, guys.
Ohio State, man.
Yeah.
Talk about teams and should they fire their coach? Been
Talk
a lot of
about a
controversy
dumpster
there.
fire. Eric,
Yeah.
are you still here? Eric, are you
Yeah.
here? Just chime in if you feel warranted.
Our friend, our good friend JR, who runs the Big Ten Huddle, fantastic show. If you haven't seen it, it's on YouTube, Twitter. He's a big Ohio State fan, and he's tried really hard, but I definitely feel like he's starting to lean in that camp of, okay, we need to fire Chris Holtman. Fantastic show. Definitely go check that out. But
I told JR and Eric that we kind of switch spaces between football and basketball season. They just kind of, we go from good, they go from bad, and then during
Except
football
we're
season,
first
we go
place
to bad.
in basketball. They were second place in football.
That's true.
So they
Ooh, yep.
You're right. Yikes.
Ohio State has lost 5 of 6. Granted, 3 of those 5 losses were on the road. So they lost at Nebraska, which Nebraska is terrifying at home. They look like they can beat anybody. They lost at Northwestern, again, another team who's really good at home. They lost at home at Illinois, so no shame there. 2-point road loss to Iowa, and then choked a 19-point lead to Indiana at home. That one was brutal. That was a brutal game a week ago today. And then since they went into double overtime with Maryland, and actually what was a really entertaining game, and pulled out the win. So they've had an up and down season. They looked really good to start. They had a really dominant win over Alabama, who's now 6th in KenPom, where they put up 92 points. Their 2 sophomore guards just went off in that game. So this is a team that has a lot of firepower for sure. I mean, Roddy Gale and Bruce Thornton are playing really well. They're both really young and extremely athletic. Jamison Battle needs no introduction, as we know who he is. He is shooting 43% from 3. I believe he leads the Big Ten in that category. Among shooters with like a certain number of attempts. I think Mason Gillis is actually higher than that, but he's the highest volume, the highest percentage from a volume shooter. Felix Okpara has played really well this season as well. But yeah, I mean, Chris Holtman is kind of in the hot seat. I think if you go back and you watch the press conference with him after Indiana, he looks like he's trying to like not explode, like not like emotionally, but like physically explode. Like he's trying to like restrain his body from exploding. So that was pretty weird to see. But this is another scary game, because we go to Value City, as Russ said, and just Big Ten on the road, as we've seen this season, has not been kind. So I don't know.
And our games against Ohio State have just been close in recent years. Like they've just come down to the wire, kind of no matter how the teams stack up against each other.
Yeah, I mean, Purdue broke Ohio State last year, if we remember that. It was Ethan Morton who made the crazy play with like 8 seconds to go, and then Fletcher hit 3 to win the game. But yeah, that was a game that they had wrapped up, they had in the bag, and then like from there on, they lost. Like they went on a pretty big losing streak after that. So Ken Palm predicts a 10-point win for the Boilers. So he actually predicts a 17-point win against Minnesota. So I think this is going to be an entertaining game. I think it's going to be one of those games that is going to hold my attention the entire time and probably get my heart rate going a little bit.
What does Frank Palm say the game's final score is going to be?
I don't know. I'll have to crunch some numbers and get back to you on that one.
I gotcha.
I did it for Minnesota and it was 16, but I didn't look that far ahead to Ohio State.
So
okay.
I'm going to make a bold prediction, and I'm going to actually say that I think the Minnesota game will be closer than Ohio State, and I don't think that the 17-point line about Minnesota is wrong. So if you do the math there, I think that Ohio State could be a 20-point plus win.
That's disrespectful.
Well, look at their game right now. Ohio State right now is down 16 to Wisconsin, and Wisconsin is sliding. Right, they've lost 4 straight, like playing some of the worst basketball they played this season, and they're drubbing Ohio State. So I think Ohio State's will is going to be broken come Sunday.
Man.
And so I think Minnesota has a lot to play for. They're trying to get in the tournament, and they're going to give us a fight. And I think we maybe pull away late and end up, getting a 14, 15-point win. But I think Ohio State could be a drubbing at their place. I think the place will be pretty calm. There's not going to be much of a crowd there. There's not going to be anybody to get behind them. And I think that we're just going to go in and take their lunch money and go home.
This is where the issue is, because now they're going to clip this, show it to the fans. It's going to be all over campus for the next week. And now they're going to be like, oh, they don't think we're going to show up. We'll show you, Russ. And they're going to pack it out, and they're just going to have signs that say, like, you, Russ. You, Russ.
Yeah, if all of Columbus goes against Russ, I'd laugh. I mean, it'd be kind of fun. it would be kind of fun.
You'd be like, imagine you see a big billboard when you pull up to the stadium, and it's like who's on the blacklist to Value City Arena. It's just a picture
You
of
see
Russ.
this old geezer kick his ass.
I mean, if you just look at their recent games, like, yeah, they pulled out the win against Maryland, but they barely beat Maryland, and Maryland is not going to the tournament.
Well, also,
right?
all that, Damon, will never happen because Ohio State often forgets they have a basketball program. So,
it's such a weird stadium. It's very like NBA like arena for a college basketball team. But
it is a very nice stadium,
and it's named after a knockoff furniture, not knockoff, but like discount furniture store.
I want to address a comment here. Unpopular opinion: I think Illinois will win the Big Ten tournament, and I'm okay with it. I want to go into the tournament hungry. I mean, it's very possible. Illinois is playing good basketball right now. My thing is, I unpopular opinion maybe as well, but I really don't care a whole lot about the Big Ten tournament. I think especially this season when Purdue is basically a lock for a number 1 seed, we can lose in the Big Ten tournament.
Is it in Chicago or Indy?
It's in Minneapolis this year.
Oh, neither. Great.
Yeah, I'm loosely considering going. Still trying to figure that out. Another comment here. OSU is kind of scary good in the past years. Is this the first time the Big Ten tournament's being played in a city where a Big Ten school is?
Yeah, because that's smart. That's genius of them. Jeez,
I just thought about that. Or another comment here. Or does Ohio State have a bounce back against us? That's Purdue luck. I mean,
I don't know. I'm just like, and I'm not trying to make this about me, guys, but I really am worried going to the game Thursday that I'm going to just flip the tide and just put Purdue's season in the toilet because I went to the game instead of not watching it. So maybe I'll just not watch the game while I'm at the game. We'll just sit there like this.
No, just look behind you, like face behind you the entire game. What's up with that guy?
Well, I expect them to give us a game for the better part of a game possibly on Thursday. So I don't think you're the juju. If something happens in that game, I don't think you're the juju. I think it's Minnesota has a ton to play for. They're on the verge of possibly making the tournament, and they need a win like this.
It should be a win.
Yeah,
it should. Like I said, I think we're gonna push it to double digits, and it's gonna be comfortable. But I wouldn't be surprised if they come out ready to play. Dawson Garcia hits a couple shots, and all of a sudden we got a ball game, and it takes us kind of settling down and getting into the game to make sure we take care of business.
Russ, have you looked at Ohio State's numbers at all?
For tonight or on the season?
Just on the season.
On the season? What are you talking about? Like,
So they are one of the worst teams in the country in terms of scoring and transition. Only 7% of their points come on the fast break, which is just given their personnel. I see that's kind of fascinating. So for context, Purdue has 9.6% of their points come in transition, and that's in the 17th percentile. So they're significantly worse in that category. And not that that's good or bad. It's just something that sticks out. Another thing that sticks out is their pace. They're one of the slower teams. They're in the 20th percentile for pace at 65 possessions per game. Fun little trivia fact. Does anyone know what the gap between the fastest team and the slowest team in D1 is in terms of number of possessions per game on average?
That's an interesting.
Is it 8 possessions? Is it 30 possessions? How many possessions is it?
Let's say 30.
I bet it's less than 10.
15.
15 and a half. Dylan, by Price is Right rules, Dylan wins.
I'm a
Like,
genius,
if you
guys.
think about that, that's
get to my
crazy.
level.
That's 15 more opportunities to score, 15 more opportunities to get an assist, to get a rebound, to turn the ball over. That's crazy, though. There's like that much of a difference in terms of like 15 possessions per game. That's crazy. That's a significant number. So, so Ohio State averages 65.1 possessions per game. Where are they good? Really good at the line. That's the big thing that sticks out. 76% from the free throw line. That's like their biggest green number. Other green numbers, they don't turn the ball over a ton. Only 13% turnover percentage. So that's good. Yeah, I mean they have turnovers. They have averaged 4.6 blocks per game. That's a big number. So Purdue averages 4.1 for comparison. So yeah, I mean there's some things they do well, but there's also not a lot of red on here either. There's just a lot of white, which is just somewhere between in the middle. So they're middle of the road in a lot of categories.
Well,
middle of the road.
It has a lot of white. What do you?
Yeah, but I ultimately I think, and I'm talking about Ohio State. Well,
same thing.
Yeah,
there are a lot of whites. A lot of whites there too.
But ultimately, Russ, I'm gonna respectfully disagree and say this is gonna be a 8-point win. And here we have a comment here. We beat Ohio State by 7. So Dylan, Damon, what do you guys think?
Well, I think me going to the game Thursday is going to completely turn the tide for the rest of the season. So I'm really worried about that, actually. So, but best case scenario, I think Purdue wins by like 12 to 15.
I'm gonna say Damon brings the team like all the luck in the world, and they win by 18.
A billion.
And then
Boilers by billion.
Well, yeah. Also, I mean, it's always Boilers by a billion, but I think you know what?
Dylan,
actually,
you said 18.
I don't come on the show for a month now, and now you're saying you're not saying Boilers.
Damon's gonna bring Purdue so much luck that they're gonna win by 1 billion points. They will break the jumbotron. They will break.
I'm pretty sure I just heard Dylan say 18.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure Dylan just said 18. I don't think I've ever heard Dylan actually give a prediction.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like I missed the show for like a month and a half, and now Dylan's giving actual numbers.
Dylan's actually providing something to the show. Holy shit, it's over.
So here we have a comment. Boilers 70, Minnesota 59, Purdue 80, Ohio State 55. Oh, I forgot. Boilers by a damn billion.
Let's
Cody
go,
gets it.
Cody.
Right.
Let's go.
What?
If we lose, get your pitchforks and burning torches and go to Damon's house. That's not me saying that. It's me reading a comment here. So
jokes on you. I don't have a house
for those
anymore.
who are listening. Yeah. Ouch.
Not yet. All right, you're getting there.
Yeah, as Damon said. Damon said he's been hit.
Anyway.
What? I'm just gonna randomly drop it. What?
What?
Really, Damon, I really hope you don't believe that you're going to bring bad juju Thursday, because you're going to come to the game.
I'm scared.
Then if you really believed that, you wouldn't come to the game. So I don't think you really believe that. Otherwise, you'd stay home.
I mean, you can't not go to Mackey Arena if you get an opportunity. Right. You know. But yeah.
Damon, is this your first game this season?
Yeah. Yep.
So I'll be curious to get your opinion on the song that they play when they introduce the players. I'm not a fan. I'm not a
Okay.
fan of it.
Ooh.
My wife and I are very split. She loves it. She thinks it's great. But
Do you know what
it
song it is?
Yeah, it's called Family Ties.
Hmm.
By an artist called Baby Keem, featuring
Never
Kendrick
heard of him.
Lamar.
Or
Yeah.
her. Or
So
them.
you'll have to.
I guess that makes sense
give me your
considering
opinion.
like their jerseys, like their warm ups or whatever, are all about like they say stuff like that, like family. And I don't know what the song's about, but
If I had a
So,
Purdue
man.
warm-up jacket, it would say "what" on the back.
what?
What? And then there's
Hmm.
Nick's comment. And then I had another beer. What?
I have no idea what you all are talking about. Being
You know what's
completely
funny
honest.
is you're probably referencing like the Pat McAfee show and how he does that, but
No,
it's
it's
actually
Stone Cold Steve Austin. I'm cultured.
okay. Well,
I'm cultured,
all right,
Damon.
all right.
I know what I'm talking
Okay,
about.
all right. Now you just got to learn LA Night. You got to do the "Let me talk to you."
Let me help you.
Yeah, comment here. Coon 316 says Boilers by a damn billion.
Put it on a shirt.
You need a Coon 3. Well, I don't know if you should put that on a shirt. Never mind.
Don't order that over the phone, Dylan. You got to write that out.
It's
you know?
German, okay?
Do not order that over the phone.
K-U-H-N. All right, Gemini Christmas. Anyway, good Lord, yeah, let's all take a drink of water and cool
Well,
down
hour
a
and
little bit.
6
It's getting
minutes.
a
I
little
think
hot in here.
that's about for tonight. Y'all.
Yeah, we need to wrap it up.
Well, no, I got a hockey update. We can't wrap it up yet.
All right, hockey
Let's
update.
hear it.
Go.
Best save the best for last as I try and get my iPad to open.
Yeah.
Oh, this got dark. Yeah, and Chris isn't even here. Normally he, dims it down. Not dims
That's
it.
not the
it
best
down.
comment either, Nick, with what we were just talking about. But okay.
Stone cold, brother. Anyway, speaking of what, the hockey team played this weekend, and they played what? Indiana, and they won again because we beat Indiana in every sport.
What?
What? 2 games this weekend against Indiana. The first one was 4-1, goals by Tyler Groen, Dylan Franks, Ben Toby. Cam Page killed it again. They beat Indiana like it's no big deal. Then game 2, they beat them 6-1, swept them, clean sweep.
What?
Both great crowds for the Boiler faithful there in wherever the Indy Fuel practice. I can't remember what it's called now. Anyway, Fuel Tank, I think is what it's called. Makes sense. They ended up winning 6-1. Goals from Dylan Franks, Austin Rollins, Zane Burnside. Ryan Kovitz. Captain Ben Toby got injured. He's good now. So that's good. He'll be able to play this weekend in the tournament, the ICHC Crossroads Cup Classic. They play the winner of Trine and Cincinnati. It'll be in Columbus, Indiana at the Hamilton Ice Center. So if you're near Columbus, Indiana, not Ohio.
Frank, let's
Indiana.
go road trip. That's like an hour north of us.
Yeah, dudes, dude, what are you doing? I'll send you my jersey so you can wear it. So they got the playoffs coming up. Pretty big for the boys. And they're killing it. 9 straight wins, 9-0 in the spring semester.
Wow.
9-0. That's a big deal. Also, last but most definitely not least, since I've posted this jersey, I get questions about it all the time. You can order your own now. They have 2 options. They have a I think it's a $95 version that's like screen printed, but if you bump up a few extra bucks, and I think this one's $140. It's exactly what the players wear. It's all stitched, and I'm gonna QVC this thing real quick. You get a fight strap. Okay, so if you get a little crazy at the bar, you can strap this Velcro thing to your belt, and you can kick some ass. So buy yourself a gold jersey. Get the one with the fight strap. Get some knucks in a bar somewhere and lay somebody out and tell them you're with Boilermaker Hockey. Don't tell them you're with Boilermaker Hockey. Actually,
why?
Don't do that.
And
That's
why?
bad news bears.
Why? Because Dylan Coon said so.
There's a comment. There's a comment
that.
here from Nick who says he built the fuel tank apartments.
Oh, then they're probably not very stable.
I feel like there was something else, Nick, that we talked about on here once, and you had a hand in building it. I don't know why. That's like I remember that.
He builds this comment section every week.
Yeah.
It is called the fuel tank. I got it right.
Yeah.
Look
So
at me, I
Cody
know
said 45 minutes away from his house. I'm thinking about going.
Cody,
Yeah.
go. The boys.
Heck yeah.
The boys are.
Hey,
killing
Cody,
orders.
still looking forward to your wedding. It's in May, right?
Oh yeah, we're going to Cody's wedding. He's gonna
Dylan.
regret that.
Dylan, one question.
What?
Do you say tournament? Do you say tournament?
Tournament? Well, so like
Is it tournament? I say tournament. It's not
I
wrong.
used to
was just
say
curious.
tournament, and then I don't know why, but I got fancy with it, which I don't normally get fancied on. I started saying tournament.
I think
Okay.
that's
It's
how
like,
like in Minneapolis for the Big Ten tournament.
But
Tournament.
like it's like Lowell and Louisville. I mean, but then again, I say tour. I don't say tour. Like Warped Tour, I say tour.
See, I say tour.
I said tour.
Tour.
Yeah,
No
and
French on it.
my
But
wife
so you
says
say
tour.
tournament, but you say tour, but you don't say tournament.
No, I say tournament tour.
The English language is still.
Yeah.
And then you
that's
add some
how I say
hick in
it.
it, like I got, and it's all downhill from there. And then you
I just
what?
I heard you say tournament on your little hockey update there, and I
my
wasn't.
escapades,
That just
which
stuck
really
in my
was
head.
what every third word.
Yeah.
Tyler Groen, what? Dylan Frank, what? Ben Toby, what? Campaign.
Frank is gonna hate editing this tomorrow.
That'll be
He's
fine. That'll be
got
good.
this whole damn thing. And then you got Kane, the goalie, who saved my life.
It's gotta be Kane.
It's gotta be Kane. Oh my god, that fits with our little WWE theme here we got going on tonight.
Yeah.
Can
Love
I
it.
get a what in the comment? The first person to tweet #what, I'll send you $5. What?
Russ, why don't you sign us off, Russ?
Yeah, let's get
Frank's
outta
like,
here,
end
guys.
it now.
Thursday basketball, Sunday basketball,
What?
hockey.
What?
Have a good week, y'all.
What?
Peace.
Go
See you
Boilers.
guys.
What?